What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our Big Ten football channel. All right, we have shown you the 2020 schedule for Michigan State. Now we're going to give you a projected record based on how tough that schedule is. And I want to be clear that this is not a prediction from SG1 Sports. This is simply a projection based on their odds to win each game, just a rough estimate of who should win each game and what the betting line would be for each game. It's kind of how we're doing this. So the games that are 99% are games that Michigan State should win, pretty much guaranteed wins. 80% are games where Michigan State would be favored by double digits. Not guaranteed wins, but games where they should win. 60% would be a game where the spread is around a touchdown, so Michigan State would be favored by 6, 7, 8 points in those games. And then the 50-50 games are games that could go either way. We're talking about 3, 4, 5 point spreads somewhere in there for those games. So let's get into it here for Michigan State. And they don't have any 99% games, no games where they're going to be huge favorites. I think Toledo is a game where they'll be favored by double digits. Maybe not 20 plus, but I would say right now Michigan State will be favored by about 14 to 17 points in that game. So they should win. Not a guaranteed win, but they should be able to win that game. And we're going to put that in the 80% range there in week 3 of the season. So now we move on to the next range of games. It would be the 60% games. Again, these are games where we think Michigan State would be favored, but not by more than about a touchdown. I think Rutgers falls into that category. Look, Michigan State lost a lot. They've got a new head coach. This is not going to be a contender in the Big Ten this year. Rutgers has been awful, I know, but still, I think you got to give Rutgers a little bit of a chance in this game. Who knows? So it was, this would really be more like a 70% game for me probably, but we don't have a 70% scale on here, so we're going with 60%. And then we go now to the games where Michigan State will be underdogs. I think Ohio State and Penn State are pretty much, not guaranteed losses, but it'll be very tough for Michigan State to win these games. Ohio State at home, Penn State on the road. We're talking about the two best teams in the Big Ten, teams that I think are clearly better than Michigan State when you just compare them. So we're going to say that they lose both of those games. Again, just about a 20% chance to win. And when we actually go through and give you the projection, games that are 20% or lower are considered losses. Games that are 80% or higher are considered wins. So keep that in mind. That means we've already got 2 losses on the schedule before we even get into the rest of it. Let's move on now to the games where I think Michigan State will be underdogs. Not huge underdogs, but they'll be underdogs by at least 6, 7, 8 points, somewhere in there. Iowa on the road, maybe it's more than that. We'll see how good those two teams are. Michigan at home, only because of the rivalry and because Michigan lost a lot as well, and it's at home for Michigan State. That's why that's a 40% game and not a 20% game. And then Minnesota, that game also is at home. Minnesota's a team that I expect to be a top 25 team, but they lost a lot as well, so no guarantee. So those 3 games, Michigan State, it's going to be tough for them to win. They'll be underdogs, but not impossible. Wouldn't shock me if they were able to win maybe one of those games. And then that leaves us with 5 games, and all 5 of these games to me are the 50-50 games on the schedule. And for the most part, Michigan State, I think, is actually going to be an underdog in these games, but I just don't think that it'll be that big of a spread. So I think they'll have a chance. Northwestern, team that was awful last year, they bring a ton of production back. So that'll be a tough game to start the season. It's at home for Michigan State, though. Because of that, I think it's a 50-50 game. BYU on the road probably would favor BYU here, but it's a close margin. And then Miami, I'd probably favor Miami as well, but they haven't been great either. So that could be a win or a loss. Could go either way. I would favor Miami by about a field goal. And then Indiana on October 24th on the road. I think Indiana will be favored in that game, but not by a whole lot. And then I'd probably favor Michigan State over Maryland, even though that's on the road. So again, all these games are very close, could go one way or the other. But if you average it all out, the projected record for Michigan State is 5-7. So again, we're giving them a win over Toledo. We're giving them a loss against Ohio State and Penn State. And then we take these percentages and average them out. And the projected record for Michigan State comes out to be 5-7. So this projection would show them getting the win over Toledo, winning 2 or 3 of those 50-50 games, and then maybe pulling off an upset somewhere else on the schedule, and beating Rutgers. We're favoring them over Rutgers as well. So maybe winning 3 of the 5 50-50 games, or winning 2 of the 5 and pulling off an upset somewhere. So again, the projection for Michigan State, 5-7. Not a prediction, but just a projection based off of their strength of schedule. You guys can let me know what you think about this Michigan State schedule and what you think their projected record should be, what you think their record will be in 2020 down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more here across all of our YouTube channels at SG1 Sports.